The quality of your life depends on the quality of emotions you experience, and you choose your material goals because of how they will make you feel. Today, I want to continue the subject of choosing new goals or new direction, new intention. So, everybody knows how to set the material goals, not necessarily how to achieve them, but how to set it. You can measure it. You know how much money you want to make, you know how much weight you want to lose. When you focus on your health, you know how much points you want to lower your cholesterol or high blood pressure. But when it comes to the internal goals, how do you measure it? How do you quantify it? And in the end, how do you know if you did a good job? I hear this is popular this year. Have more peace, love yourself more. And how do you make sure that you do it? Do you have a plan? Do you know how it will look in action every single day? Right here, I want to make 2 points. First of all, I am not undermining material goals. They are absolutely important, and they also help us to experience life in more positive way. But the world is full of people who went after the material goal and they forgot to take themselves with them. They forgot to take care of themselves physically or emotionally. They forgot to love themselves. And sometimes compromise their values on the way to the goal. They experienced burnout and their nervous system simply shut down. And sometimes life requires of us that we choose those uncomfortable things. Let's talk about this in theory here. How would it look like if you also took care of yourself? We have body, mind, and spirit. Not one thing is more important than the other. And it's worth it to put some time and attention into balancing all of them. And the second point I want to make here is that even though I talk about taking yourself with you on the way to your material goals, I do not want to imply that perfection is possible here. Sometimes we compromise our boundaries and then we know about it later when we look back. We spend late nights working on something because it absolutely has to be done. And not doing this would be lack of self-respect for yourself or lack of self-respect for your future. No perfection, simply honest attempt to take care of yourself emotionally. So, an example of an internal goal would be self-love. Right now in 2025, I hear this all around me that people want to love themselves more. Now, how do you quantify it? How do you know that you are doing a good job? With self-love, the issue is that love is not a very specific thing because we learned love from different sources that sometimes had nothing to do with love. So love tends to be that confusing word. Maybe you started learning something new and you get frustrated with yourself and you feel horrible about yourself because you don't get it. Well, in this case, what would it look like to have more self-love? Be patient. Be patient with yourself. Another quality of love is care. How do you take care of yourself? You know that you lack self-love if you, for example, eat horrible, unhealthy foods. It is not self-love, it is self-abuse. When it comes to relationships, how would you know that you love yourself, that you respect yourself? Respect is another quality of self-love. When you spend a lot of time with person that doesn't respect you, or you feel bad after seeing that person, and you continue seeing that person, excuse me, but this is really lack of self-respect. And when do we do this? We do this sometimes out of obligation, sometimes because there is just nobody else around. But in this case, self-respect would be to spend time with yourself, quality time with yourself. and seek other people that love you. It is perfectly okay to value yourself enough to say no to that time with that person. Listen, sometimes you let go of people, sometimes people let go of you, and that's fine. It happens to me all the time as well. I may have the best intentions, but I may drain somebody. And I need to accept that and just do my own thing. Another quality of self love is acceptance. When you don't accept yourself, what does it look like? When you accept yourself, maybe there are things that you will stop doing because you no longer have to prove yourself to anyone. Can you think of something like this in your life? When you love yourself, when you have respect for yourself, and you go after joy, the healthy type of joy, if every single person on earth would focus on that, we would have heaven on earth. But maybe we are still a couple hundred or thousand years away from that point. But I hope we are getting there because the consciousness is rising. Well, when you go on social media, you may think that things are going downhill when it comes to human consciousness. But let's hope that there is some good explanation for that. And we are really moving forward and evolving as humanity. I have had this mantra for the past few years. The world is healing and returning to harmony. Maybe not in every part of the world, maybe not at the same scale, but in many, many places that is happening. There is more light and less darkness. But if I want to believe that, I have my inner work to do. I have to work on my own inner peace and self love. When you think about your level of self love when it comes to taking care of your body, when it comes to your relationships, including friendships or family relationships, when it comes to your job, how would you rate your self love, self respect, and self care in those areas? Oh, I heard something amazing. I listened to Bob Proctor recently, and in one of his lectures, he said, people sometimes worry about what they deserve. They wonder, they think about material goals, and they wonder, am I worthy of that? Here's how to turn it around. Is that thing worthy of you? And I would like to completely dismiss that question, do I deserve it? When you turn it into, I worked for that, so it's mine, it's so much simpler. Deserving is also pretty vague, and I never know where to land with it. I have no idea what I deserved. I know what I didn't deserve. Okay, to close the subject of self love, reflect on different moments, situations in the past, I don't know, days, weeks, months, or year, and notice what are the moments when you compromised your self respect, self acceptance, and self care. Where did you compromise your self love? Okay, another goal that is an internal emotional goal, which is to experience more joy. You may say that the goal of feeling more joy is unreasonable in these times because it's 2025 and everything is falling apart. So I haven't checked the news in the past 2.5 months, and I don't know that the world is falling apart. I have no idea. So the problem with this is one, that I'm ignorant, and second, that I have, and the benefit is that I'm calm. I think that we also need to do this for the obligation, for the sanity of our minds, for our soul, because we still have things to do for ourselves, our goals, for our souls, our spiritual goals. They are not going to be reached if we are always in the state of stress. And this is also obligation to our bodies, because when we are constantly in the state of stress, it takes a toll on the body on the cellular level. So we want to experience joy on the cellular level. Now look back in the past few months. What were the moments, the situations that stole joy away from you, that stole calm away from you? Well, I'm talking about internal goals, but to achieve those internal emotional goals, you also need to have skills. And one of the essential skills is to choose what you feel internally. You choose specific thoughts to think. You are already thinking thoughts, so why not drop the negative thoughts and choose something better to think about? There's nothing to lose. Really, there's nothing to lose. Even when you worry because you think that you have to worry, you can take a break for 5 minutes and choose thoughts that focus on the ideal, perfect outcome of this situation that you worry about. That would be time well spent. And also, you will allow yourself to drop stress and enjoy the moment more and practice things in your imagination, practice your future in your imagination. Another internal goal, internal direction that is very worthwhile is peace. When you lose inner peace, then you know it. When you have it, you don't pay attention to it. When you lose inner peace, then you know it. And it's very hard to regain it. So, what are the experiences in the past month or a year that stole away the peace from you? What happened? Maybe you reached certain goals, but it was against your values, and now you struggle a little bit with this. It's normal to make mistakes. To learn from mistakes is wisdom. These days, you hear very often about doing something in alignment, just align yourself with, your soul and so on. But what does it even mean? Align yourself with who you truly are. Align yourself with your values. Know what are your values. And then when you take yourself out there to the world, act on those values. Since I'm doing these days medical hypnotherapy, I know that people sometimes end up having chronic conditions because they compromised themselves too much. They compromised their health and what they really wanted. They felt that their soul is leading them that way, but they told themselves that they have to act this way because the material things are more important. And of course, sometimes you have to do this, but when you do it over and over and over, and you feel that you have no choice, while most of the time you do, then it ends up compromising your body, your energy system. It sends a message to your cells that you don't matter, that they don't matter, that the joy doesn't matter. So they just start shutting down because the body talks to you. The body talks to you by redirecting you somewhere. The body talks to you by throwing an unusual thought into your mind about something like, oh, I wish I could spend a couple of days in bed so I don't have to do this job. Well, hello, then you get sick. So it's important to pay attention to what the body is saying. So looking forward, what are the choices that you can make for yourself? What is it that you would like to do to experience more inner peace in the next week or a month? What would bring you more peace? Is there something that you are anticipating that makes you nervous, maybe angry? Maybe this is something that is compromising your boundaries, but you tell yourself that you have to do this because if you don't, then what? What is it? Well, there's always a price to pay. Sometimes you set boundaries with people and they walk away. But sometimes you set boundaries and it gives other people permission to do the same. To achieve that goal of inner peace, you have to make sometimes difficult choices, but it has to be in alignment with your inner truth. And obviously, you have to know yourself. You have to reconnect with yourself to know what it really is. I want to end with a wonderful quote. Listen to this. These are words of Milton Erickson. Life will give you pain on its own. Your responsibility is to create joy. Life will give you pain on its own. You don't have to look for it. Life will give you pain on its own. Your responsibility is to create joy. What do you think? Are those internal goals something that you would like to try more this year? Or do you have it already figured out? Did you already practice it? And if you practice that, if you are good at it, that probably happened because you lacked it in the past. Maybe you went through some experiences that compromised that inner peace, joy, and sense of self-love, and you decided, no, I'm not doing this thing anymore. I have to take care of myself. I have to love myself because let me give you another quote here from Anita Morjani. Love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does.